what position will you play? Are you guys familiar with this thing called The Secret? It was like a phenomenon around the world. How many people are familiar with The Secret? Secret? Okay, The Secret. This lady, are you familiar with it? Australia? She's from Australia. But I guess she sold in the U.S. Anyways, so she did this, basically, the whole premise of the book and the movie that they made from it and the worldwide craze that happened after that was basically that if you think good thoughts about what you want, that will like magically appear in your life. It's like the law of attraction. If you dream and you passionate about your dreams, as she says, the universe will come together to bring, to present, these things to you. The law of attraction. Now, there is some truth to what she's saying. The mistake that she made is she called Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala the universe. And if a person makes dua to Allah Azza wa Jal, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will answer their dua. The problem though is they're making dua, they're not putting it to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they are not making dua for the hereafter. It's just basically some material world thing. But from their scientific observation, religion works. Okay? There's a verse in the Quran where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, يَعْلَمُونَ ظَاهِرًا مِّنَ الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا وَهُمْ عَنِ الْآخِرَةِ هُمْ غَافِلُونَ. That they know, the zahir, like the apparent things of this life, but when it comes to the hereafter, they are, like غافلون, what's the translation for غافلون? Heedless, unaware. Okay, so they're heedless of the hereafter and they're unaware of it, but the focus like on the dunya. So they have they've stumbled upon it, that if you start making dua for something, it will start appearing in your life. Now, this was really popular because it matches the lazy lifestyle that people live. Right? Watch TV and look at, really healthy people at 2 o'clock in the morning and their infomercials. And if you, think about it enough, you'll become healthy as well. Does that work? No, it doesn't. Right? So all these, treadmills are being sold. This is the thing that when they have like these ab master or something like that, right? Someone's got like amazing abs. I just asked myself the question, do they have abs like this because they use this machine? And the answer is no, they don't. No, they don't. Okay. They just got an app. Okay, anyways, let's get back on track here. There is another group of people that came out with another product, right? This one was called The Phenomenon. And they were basically, it's like a response to The Secret. And they came forward saying like how to make, 12 months income, what I explained earlier about, making more in 12 months than the last 12 years of your life. That's their premise and what they're talking about. But when you actually go to their product, you'll find that they speak about marketing and how, direct mail and organizational, they'll start talking about real world things, which actually people don't like to hear stuff like that. They're like, you mean we actually have to do work? Like, what happened to the dreaming? Like, let's dream. And the thing is, you can dream, but once you wake up, right, you need to actually go out and do some work. And inshallah ta'ala, you'll be leveraging. Let me explain this issue of leverage. Leverage is, let's suppose your tire goes flat on your car. Has anybody ever changed a tire on their car? I know times have changed. We just call someone else to do it now these days. Okay, I did it once in my life, only once. Normally I just get someone else to do it. But here's the thing is how can you lift up a car? And then you pull out this little small thing from the back of your car, and then you're like, how in the world is this thing going to lift up the car? And it must take a lot of effort to lift it up. But once you start doing it, you stick in the crowbar or whatever it is, and you're just like, dun, 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 dun. And it's well, the car's going up. That is called leverage. It's called leverage. The jack, yeah. And so things become easier and easier once you start understanding this concept of leverage. So in the issue of a jack or in the issue of using other people's money, using other people's time, working in strategic partnerships, inshallah ta'ala, this idea of leverage is going to come up in multiple ways, but that's how you make more money. And that's how you increase the speed of your money. So a lot of people, when it comes to, how to double your income, they think, are you talking about doubling the hours that I work? And so they don't understand the concept. So basically, they just shut down on the idea. And they think like it can't happen. But what we're talking about here is leverage. Finding ways to lift up a huge car with a piece of equipment that is made for this, right? And so you're going to learn about leverage with other people's money, other people's time, and then things become easier. You start duplicating that, and then you become very strong, very powerful, but there is a core set of tools and things you need to understand in order to understand how to leverage it. Back to the, when we were talking about the self-employed and the business owner and the investor and the employee, in general, as I move forward from here, I'm going to be talking about the business owner category. I think a lot of you here are, that's your focus, the business owner category, and that's where I'm going to be moving forward to. As I said, you don't have to be a business owner, but understand it so much that if you decide to be an employee afterwards, that you can treat your business or your boss like a boss and really make him feel good. Basically, give him a massage. Be the best employee that you could ever be, because you're coming in with these skills, you understand what it takes to be a business owner, and you're supporting your boss in creating a business. You'll become the invaluable employee that can't be fired. If that's the employee category that you want to take on, then excel and do ihsan in your employee position, understanding these principles, and then when you go to work, you'll be like the best employee. So that's for the employee, but now as we move forward, we're going to be talking about the business owner, inshallah ta'ala. Right? And this is your introduction to businesses. So if you look at the chart, it says, what position will you play? And from here forward to the end of the course, we're going to keep coming back to this chart. So you might even want to even put like a little corner on it. So you can keep referring back to it. So just put a little corner into this page so that you can keep coming back and seeing it. All right, so I'll explain the chart. You have 3 categories that every business needs to be dealing with. You need a business that deals with marketing. Oh, and there's actually another section that says all businesses at the end of the day are marketing businesses. You need to deal with operations. Okay? So operations, you've created the product, you've created the service, you have to sell it. Right? So that's the marketing side of things. Operations, actually getting the product done. And then you have the third part of every business is the finances. So money coming in and money going out and the organization of that. If you notice right at the top, you see Chief Operating Officer. This is the person, you could say another term for it could be like president of the company or something like that. 3 people answer to this person. That is the Vice President of Marketing, Vice President of Operations, and Vice President of Finance. So this person only has 3 people in their life. The money person, the marketing person, and the operations person. So president and now 3 people underneath. President and 3 vice presidents. So now you have a team of 4 people. With these 4 people, now you unleash. Underneath these 4 people, so you see vice president of marketing, they're dealing with, sales. They could be dealing with, the marketing, the advertisement. If we're talking about an internet business, they're doing the email campaigns, the sales copies for web pages, and things like that. Okay? Then you have in the middle, you have the Vice President of Operations. The Vice President of Operations is creating the product with the people. So for example, an example of like an Al-Maghrib class, you have an instructor preparing the class. You have people who are doing the binders and the PowerPoint. You have people setting up the locations to the classrooms. You have basically the operations side of things, okay? And you have Vice President of Operations. Then you have Vice President of Finance. Vice President of Finance is basically money coming in, money going out. So there could be money coming in from your online sales that you're dealing with, and maybe there's refunds. People have asked for refunds. They're also giving that money back. Maybe if you have a product, you've given your product to some businesses and told them, pay me back in 30 days or something like that, and you have money that's owed to you after 30 days and they're not going to pay you, and you're like, what are you going to do after that, and so on. So the accounts receivable and payable, that has to be like a tight system so that money is not slipped through with the money that's owed. And same thing for money going out. For example, I said, take your reimbursements, right? Collect reimbursements, someone owes you money, ask for that money back. Some companies don't give reimbursements. They'll say, come back in 30 days. Inshallah, we'll have it for you. right? And so they're not, the money that's owed from them, they're not giving it in a timely manner. And then basically people just hate the whole business. They're like, they're not going to help out and stuff like that. So you have those three categories. And as we move forward, each topic is going to be addressing one of these areas, inshallah ta'ala. I'm going to be talking first about the marketing side of things, then operations, then finance, and then I'll circle back to the chief operating officer. And as you see each category, you want to ask yourself, what do you find yourself most excited about? So do you like to market your product? Do you like to sell? So for example, the brother in Australia, if he doesn't like to sell to Muslims, right? You don't like to ask people for, what do you like to do? You like to create databases, correct? So it's operations. You don't like to do the marketing side. When you partner up with someone, you're like, don't partner with someone who is in IT. Right? Someone else who knows databases, who cares about their database experience? You're going to team up and hire someone who's basically like an internet addict. Someone who, the whole community knows them. And say, would you like to join my business? Because now they're the marketing expert. They don't know jack about databases, and now you've teamed up with someone who's all into marketing. And you might team up with a third person that's all like money crazy. They're like, everything's money. And when it comes to the money person, I would say that when you're getting person for money, this is what I would ask them. I said, what does their car look like? They're like, well, the car is very messy. What does their house look like? They're like, well, everything is either it's in order or it's not in order. What does their desk look like? Is it neat and everything, basically is put away, or is it like everything sloppy and slammed on the desk? The reasons I'm asking that for the finances, the finance person has to be the cleanest, most precise person you have. You can't have someone sloppy here. You can't have someone that just finds any type of desk and just starts work and stuff like that. They have to be the cleanest person because all your money is being dealt with in the finances here. And that's down to the pennies. A person that can follow up with people and no money is lost, you cannot have a sloppy person in this category. So if someone said, oh, you know what, a finance person, we're trying to get in contact with them and they're not responding, or like, oh, I've been busy and stuff like that, you're out. That's not the position for finances. Okay, so each one has their different skill and people are good at different things, and you have to look for, what is their nature. Back to that judo example, find someone who this is their nature, is to excel in this category, and then team up with those people. And again, for yourself, what position would you like to be in? When I learned this, when I learned about this organizational chart, the night that I learned about it, that night I spent the whole night awake. And I came the next day, all the Al-Maghrib people, I'm like, gathered together, we're going into an organizational chart. Before this, basically, people wouldn't know who was who and who's responsible for what and so on and so forth. I pulled out the organizational chart and started plugging people's names in. And I would say if anybody was in the Al-Maghrib and they understood that organizational chart in those days, it was a turning point in the history of Al-Maghrib Institute. That people actually had positions and there was like a hierarchy, and we still have a fluidness where someone could actually slip into another category if they have an opinion or an idea. You can still do that, yet at the end of the day you have one person responsible for this category, one person responsible for that category, and no one has to go, like for myself, I don't have to jump into an Al-Maghrib city and go and say, why didn't you guys set up this and that? I would not do that. I'd go to the vice president of operations and say, from my experience, being at this city, they messed up on this and this and that, just from what I saw. And now I've talked to them. I haven't talked to the Qabila, or I haven't talked to that city. I've talked to one specific person. It goes through the proper channels. So I don't have to stress myself out. And same thing with them. This is what they do. This is their daily job, so they do that as well, inshallah. Let me give you some examples of people who have not followed this charts from my experience. Meeting with different Islamic organizations. You have, let's suppose in an organization, like who is involved in your organization. Write down their names. Not right now, but I'm just giving you an example. You can do it later. Name. Okay. So you've got, let's suppose, 5 people. And it says if this person wants to, for example, get a who they have to ask, they're like, they have to ask this person. If this person needs to, purchase something, who do they have to ask? they have to ask this person. If this person needs to, perhaps, he has a suggestion idea, who does he speak to? He speaks to this person. And if this fourth person has, someone's asking for a refund, they're just really angry, who do they speak to? They speak to this person. Oh, by the way, someone needs some directions to the upcoming Al-Maghrib class. Who do they speak to? This person. Does that sound like you? Okay, so did you see when I started graphing this out, I'm like, wait a second here. Remember when I told you about the self-employed business? When a person leaves, everything collapses. What if this guy leaves? Or he stops answering phone, which happens. He gets so overwhelmed. He's like, I hate it. Right? And he usually, he missed Fajr and he hasn't slept, things like that. And his iman is really low. And everybody's like, please guide us to, where's the upcoming Islamic class? And basically this guy collapses. Whether he collapses or he doesn't collapse, you can see what's going to happen here. Everything is going to fall apart. Because, and here's another question I ask people when they're coming to work for Al-Maghrib. I would say, how many emails do you have in your inbox? And then they'll say things like, for example, I don't really check email. You're out. You're finished. Because if it's not their nature to check email, then what are the chances of them responding frequently to the emails? It's not their nature. They don't even have internet access at home, right? So it's like they're out of the picture. If they say, their email inbox is in perfect categories and they have a system of organizing it, okay, this sounds great. We're back to the finance person. I love it, right? If they said something like my inbox, it's like I just leave everything in the inbox and I use the search functions, right? So you're talking about someone who might get the work done, but with no leverage and with no consistency, with no system, right? So you can learn a lot from the inbox of a person. But what I'm looking at, when you go from, say, Al-Maghrib city to Al-Maghrib city, how many emails does a person get? If they get too many, then this person might just be on an ego trip. Right? They're trying to find significance. Everybody has to answer to them. And basically, the success or failure of the city goes on this one person. Back in the day, we had 4 Al-Maghrib cities. How many of you are not familiar with Al-Maghrib? Are not familiar? Everybody's familiar with Al-Maghrib? Okay. Back in the day, we had 4 cities, and the first people to win the Liwa Cup, we have a cup, right? Like a yearly challenge. And the first people to win the Liwa Cup was Houston, home of the first Liwa Cup. Haytham's from Houston, by the way. It has never returned since that first year. But it was just that first year, the glory days. There was 4 cities at that time, right? You had, I think it was Virginia, it was College Park, Houston, and was it New Jersey at that time? Yeah, it was New Jersey. Okay. I was just wondering, it was that far back, yeah. So I went from city to city asking these 4 emirs, and I said, this is the question that I asked them. If you didn't show up, how long before your class would collapse? And so the first one would say, about 5 minutes. Right? Next person will say, it'll take about 2 days before they figure out I'm gone, and then it'll collapse. Third person, you know what, it'll collapse. Then you go to Houston, and I guess because of the social network, how long would it collapse when the emir leaves? No, collapse. Because we got a vice emir right here. Okay, vice emir, if you don't show up and the emir doesn't show up, how long would it collapse? They're like, no, we got a third emir there. There's a consistency that basically work is shared, right? So this is not, this isn't the chart. If you had Houston in the old glory days, it would be here's a guy, and here's a guy, and basically this person can go here, this person can go here, this person can go here, and this person can go here, right? And the work has been spread out, and they work as a system, as a team. As I said, that was in the glory days, and if you want to try to relive those days, you need to get back to it. Some things that I've seen from Islamic organizations or businesses and how they mess up. Firstly, let's talk about the self-employed business. When a person starts, for example, a graphic design company, and they have 3 graphic designers. All the graphic designers have to answer to the person who started the business, right? And this person doesn't like their graphic designer. I was like, you didn't do it good, let me do it for you. And you didn't good, let me do it for you. And they have to approve everything because it's their name at stake. And it's their company brand name. So what has this person done? If you look at the organizational chart, they are vice president of operations, finance, and marketing, and the chief operating officer, and their positions underneath. What are their employees doing? Now, they're doing something, right? They're giving the product, but sometimes in a situation like that, the employees are causing more harm for the president. Basically, the employee is like if you've ever said this to yourself, nobody can do it as good as I can. How many people have said that before? Nobody, just raise your hand a little bit higher. Nobody can do it as good as I can. Then you're totally so in the self-employed category. There's no possible way that you're in the business owner category if you have that attitude, right? And I would exaggerate it. No human being on earth can do a job better than me. Is that true? What it is, there's different reasons for this. You could have hired the wrong person, so you hired a duck and you said, please fly like an eagle. Okay? And they're like, I'm trying my best. I'm trying my best, right? So you're the dumb one who hired them in the first place to do something that they can't even do. Or, right, so you've hired someone like that, or you haven't given them the proper instructions. So you tell them, go do a class, no instructions. Then they do it wrong. You're like, this isn't what I wanted. Who knows what you wanted, right? You didn't tell us anything. You just said, go do it. Nobody said anything, and now you're complaining. If I ever complain about something, the first question I ask myself is, did I tell this person what I wanted? The answer is no. So do I have any right to complain? So they're just doing their best. And the problem, like rarely is it like a personal, is it a people problem, as they say? It's a system problem. You don't have a people problem. Person not arriving on time, person not doing their work, something like that. It's not a people problem, it's a system problem. Something in the system is not working correctly. And you don't just get mad at this employee or that employee. Look at the system. What's wrong with the system, and why is it causing this? Okay? I will take questions at question time, inshallah. Just write it down. If you're looking at the chart right there, here's an example of a bottleneck. Okay, so the chart, you have the chief operating officer. If everybody answers to the chief operating officer, everybody's answering to the president. So this could be like, for example, like an Islamic school, where basically, you have like a head principal, and every teacher in the school answers to the principal. Nobody can do anything unless they answer to the principal. The whole organization is going to rise and fall on the time management skills of one person. And usually they're stressed out, they're burnt out, and they've messed up their family life and stuff like that. And the organization cannot grow. The biggest problem is that center person. It's like the greatest thing that could happen to your company is you dying. I know that was kind of intense, right? And I'm serious, but like the person dies, just get out of the way. Nobody has that, this is my company type of attitude. Everybody's just kind of like an employee in the system, and then the system grows afterwards. Because it can be based on the system, not on a person. Another thing that I have seen is, if you look at the chart, you have like the chief operating officer, even though there's 3 bars there, you have like the, let's say the president. And then you've got 3 people, right? VP, VP, VP. One of them is marketing. Middle one is operations. The third one is finance. Okay, so and then there's people underneath this, right? People underneath here. But basically right now what we're dealing with is that top section. President dealing with 3 vice presidents. A second thing that people do is they create a product, which is operations, and they know jack about marketing. They don't know anything about marketing. So this is the person that, for example, will create the product and will be too shy to sell it to the Muslim community. They know operations, and they've made the product, and it's a really good product. They just can't ask anybody for money. Right? No, you're not the only person. There's other people here. It goes around, right? That's another style where the person just operations. And if you've ever come forward with the idea that, here's my idea, and I think people will buy it. Back when we did the circle, when I said, how profitable is it? You're like, I don't know. Everybody who said that to me, you're operations focused. It's like, let's make a product, let's make a service. Will people buy it or not? I don't know. How will you market it? Inshallah. Okay, so it's just everything is focused on making a product made. So you pile up all these products that just collect dust if you even get the product done. A third type of style that I've seen is marketing with no service. So that's an example of a halal, like let's suppose like a halal restaurant. They've opened a new restaurant and they've advertised to the whole Muslim community. This new halal chicken restaurant, right? It's like tandoori chicken, straight from Lahore and stuff like that. Everybody's like all excited and stuff like that. So the whole Muslim community goes to the restaurant. And when everybody goes to the restaurant, there's a lineup. The waitresses and the waiters, they're like, as they say, like, chickens with their heads cut off. They're like, oh, what's next? What's next? You've been waiting for 2 hours. Nobody served you. Did they market their restaurant? They got the marketing done. Like someone printed the flyers and went, but the restaurant, when the operations came into effect, like there's nothing there. Right? There's no system in place. And basically everybody just has a bad experience. And then they said, forget with the marketing and so on. Then you have, we haven't touched the finance issue, but a lot of people have actually created a product and nobody can buy it. How many people actually have a checkout counter? Anybody have a checkout counter? Does anybody have one? What I mean by a checkout counter that you own, that someone can actually, can I pay you money? They're like, yeah, you can pay me. Send me a check in the mail, right? That's about the only way. And this is a brilliant concept here. Give people an opportunity to pay you. Does that sound amazing? Right? Give people, put it on your website. People are like, if they even have, like they'll say, this is our product. Where do you purchase it? They're like, click here for contact info. Or someone will get in contact. There's no way people can pay you. Their finances, basically, they're just like, here's a product, and they've marketed it, but there's no checkout counter. There's no place for people to pay. And you want to make, subhanAllah, I've been to stores where, you've purchased, I'm sure you've been to stores like this, where the lineup at the checkout counter is like, there's like 15 people in line. And the person they're on vacation and they're doing checkouts at the same time. You guys have been there? It takes like an hour to get out of their store. I said, subhanAllah, how badly they're treating their customers. Their customers are trying to pay them. And they're abusing the people who are trying to pay. Like if anybody you're going to treat good, it's the checkout people. If these are your customers who like your product, who actually want to buy, and now you're like torturing them and say, please go to the back of the line. You're like treating them badly. Treat them with the best of respect. There's this thing at Target. How many people don't know Target? Don't know Target? Target's like a store in the U.S. It's like Zellers for Canadians, okay? So Target, they have a button in the checkout line. And it says, press this button if there's more than 3 people in front of you waiting for the cash register. I love it. And the button is automated as well. You press the button and it says, cashiers needed at aisle, checkout. It's an automated message. So it's the customer that presses it. The announcement goes into the system and then back up. All of a sudden, 3-4 people come to the cash register. Boom, boom, everybody's taken care of. So they take care of that influx. And then once the crowd has gone down, they go back to do their work. It's so amazing. I've seen that also at Target. And Target is brilliant. IKEA is also brilliant too. But Target, there's certain places in the store where there's not really somebody there, like the jewelry section. How often do they make sales? So they can't have somebody like sitting there all day long for like one sale. So they have a button that says there, press here to be served. So I'm like standing there, I want to buy a watch or something like that. I press that button. The announcement's automatic. Someone's needed or like a phone rings. The lady comes running from around a corner to like press a button. I think another lady came. They get a bonus for whoever comes first, right? They came rushing to help me. And the other one's like, you know what? I got here first. And it was all automated, right? Taking care of the people that are paying you, making the checkout process so easy. That comes into finances. So some people will sell if they even give people a chance to buy from them, right? They're not even giving the chance to buy from them. If they did give them the chance to buy from them, sometimes you'll see they're not even collecting payments. So this is the example of a Muslim that has, let's suppose they have a whole bunch of books, or let's suppose they have a whole bunch of like halal meat products or something like that. They put it to like 300 stores across the US and Canada. And they tell the people, whatever you sell, I'll take the money from that. What is this person faced with 30 days from now? going to 300 Muslim stores, Muslim mom and pop stores, right? People coming from Afghanistan, people coming from, Sudan and other places, right? They've built their stores, and this guy's trying to collect money from them and trying to ask them how many have they sold and take the money, and then the rest, like, what is he up against? What this person does basically just gets so frustrated and just says, you know what, forget the whole thing. Their finances is in a complete mess. The taking money and giving money back and so on and so forth. All right? So it's your break time, but here's a beneficial break, inshallah ta'ala. What I want you to do is your own business, look at this chart and start to plug in some names. If only these top 4 positions. They don't necessarily have to be different people. Doesn't mean you need 4 people. If you're going to start a business and you only have 2 people working, then you might say, who is responsible for what? Who is the president? You might say, okay, maybe you're the president, or maybe someone else is the president and you're working for them. But you're probably going to be the president of your company. And then you'd say, I want to take operations. I think, so-and-so would be a great idea. Or maybe put a question mark here, who's going to be in charge of my marketing, for example. And then my finances, typically a person who's doing a home business, stuff like that, they're responsible for finances as well. So if you've put your name in 3 of these positions, that's fine, just as long as you know that you're responsible for it. And so you can see from that picture who's responsible for what, inshallah ta'ala. So go ahead, fill it in, take your break, and we'll start in 10 minutes, inshallah. Yes. Okay. Even though you had an organizational chart at your company, it was still a one-man show?
In terms of IT.
Okay, IT, okay. Okay, so the problem, so whoever put this person in charge, is the one who's basically not following up, not checking, where information is going, becomes a one-man show. Yeah, if anything, or let's suppose he quits, and he says, you know what, I'm packing my bags, I'm leaving tomorrow. He's like, you guys can figure out the passwords, you can figure out everything, don't bother me, you don't pay me anymore, I hate you, kind of back to the, you're my slave master, and I could care less. And then he leaves, and that's the leader who made that mistake, whoever put him in charge, to put it. And it's not also something about blaming and not blaming is not it's just at the end of the day, blame really doesn't benefit everybody. It's all about the money. About the cash, that's right. So it's more and as we go further, I'm going to give some more ideas, inshallah ta'ala, to explain. Something that Sheikh Riyad brought up as well. This is a basic chart. Does this mean that you can't add categories? It doesn't mean that. Can you change the structure? Of course you can. I would say learn the fundamental first of how to do it, and then as time goes by, then you'd say, you know what, under operations, let's suppose for Al-Maghrib, we will have positions that are not on this chart, obviously, right? And, there might be additional marketing positions that you'll start to, content creation, things like that, where those are extra categories that you're going to be adding, maybe some extra VPs as well, just so you understand the basic structure. You're dealing with marketing, operations, and finance, and then for your specific companies, you might add positions. Sometimes you put those positions under somebody else. Other times, you'd actually put them in a whole category by themselves. But that's, as you develop your company, inshallah ta'ala. Okay, next topic.